Imagine a world where the people in our lives, the ones we care about most, don't feel the need to constantly chase after us for attention. A world where respect and self-worth take center stage in every relationship. Today, I want to talk about a powerful shift that happens when we break free from patterns of endless calls and texts, especially in our relationships with women. It's not just about what they will do, it's about the environment we create when we communicate less and connect more meaningfully. You see, we often focus on what we do, what we say, or what we think will keep someone's attention. But what if the answer lies not in doing more, but in doing less? What happens when you step back, give space, and let authenticity guide the relationship? This isn't just about relationships, it's a principle of leadership, self-respect, and trust. And when you start seeing it through that lens, everything changes. So let's explore this idea together: what happens when you stop calling, stop texting, and start leading with intention. When a woman finds herself in a situation where someone she has been communicating with regularly suddenly stops calling and texting her, she will evaluate the importance of the relationship. This evaluation isn't just about what the other person brought to her life, it's also about how the relationship fits into her overall sense of well-being and priorities. She will likely reflect on the conversations, the shared experiences, and the emotional connection they had. This process might involve a deep dive into the patterns of interaction, how often they communicated, how meaningful those exchanges felt, and whether the relationship added value to her life. She might ask herself whether the absence feels like a loss or a relief, weighing the emotional investment she's made against the return she's received. This period of reflection is a powerful moment of clarity for her, as it allows her to confront her true feelings about the relationship and its place in her life. She may focus on her own emotional well-being during this time. With the sudden silence, she'll be prompted to turn inward, considering what she needs to feel emotionally fulfilled and secure. This shift is often accompanied by a heightened sense of self-awareness. She might recognize areas where she has been compromising too much or giving more than she has received. It's a moment to reconnect with herself, to prioritize her mental and emotional health, and to address any lingering doubts or insecurities that the relationship might have amplified. This period of introspection can be both challenging and liberating, as it pushes her to confront her emotions head-on and make decisions that are aligned with her best interests. By focusing on her emotional well-being, she sets the stage for healthier relationships and stronger boundaries moving forward. She could feel relief if the communication felt overwhelming. Relationships, even those with great potential, can sometimes become a source of stress if one person feels inundated by constant communication. In such cases, the sudden silence might come as a welcome break, giving her the space to breathe and reassess. She might realize that the dynamic had started to feel more like a burden than a joy, with the constant notifications and demands on her attention detracting from her ability to focus on other aspects of her life. This relief is not necessarily an indication that she didn't value the relationship. Rather, it's a sign that the way communication was being handled may not have been serving her well. This newfound space allows her to regain her balance, rediscover her independence, and perhaps even reevaluate how she would like communication to look in the future, should the relationship continue. She will redirect her energy toward personal goals during this time. With less time and mental bandwidth spent on constant communication, she'll likely channel her focus into areas of her life that bring her a sense of accomplishment and joy. This could involve diving deeper into her career, picking up a hobby she's always wanted to explore, or strengthening her social connections with friends and family. The absence of calls and texts creates an opportunity for her to reclaim her time and use it in ways that are deeply fulfilling and meaningful. This redirection of energy often leads to personal growth and a renewed sense of purpose as she invests in herself and her aspirations. It's a chance for her to take stock of what truly matters to her and to prioritize the things that bring her happiness and satisfaction, independent of anyone else's expectations or needs. She might feel a sense of curiosity about your intentions when you stop calling and texting her. This curiosity stems from a desire to understand the sudden change in behavior, as well as the underlying reasons behind it. She might wonder if something happened to cause the silence, if you're trying to send a specific message, or if you've simply lost interest. This curiosity can be both frustrating and intriguing, as it compels her to think about the relationship in new ways and consider perspectives she might not have previously entertained. In trying to make sense of the situation, she might replay past conversations, look for clues in your behavior, or even seek advice from others. This process of inquiry is not just about you, it's also about her trying to gain clarity and make sense of her own feelings in the context of your absence. The unanswered questions might linger in her mind, prompting her to think more deeply about what she wants and needs from the relationship. She may initiate contact to clarify the situation. If the relationship holds significant value to her, she might decide to reach out and address the silence directly. This step takes courage, as it requires her to confront the ambiguity and potentially face an uncomfortable truth. Her approach will likely be thoughtful and measured, as she seeks to understand your perspective without compromising her own dignity or self-respect. The tone of her message or conversation might vary depending on her emotional state. It could be curious, concerned, or even slightly frustrated. Regardless, her goal will be to gain insight into your thoughts and feelings, as well as to express her own. This proactive step is a testament to her investment in the relationship and her willingness to work through challenges. However, it's also a test of the relationship's foundation, as it reveals whether there is enough mutual respect and communication to address and resolve misunderstandings. She will determine if your absence creates a void or peace in her life. This evaluation is a critical moment of self-awareness for her, as she reflects on how your silence impacts her day-to-day experience. If she finds that your absence leaves a significant void, it might indicate that the relationship was a meaningful part of her life. On the other hand, if she feels a sense of peace or relief, it could suggest that the relationship was not as fulfilling or balanced as she had hoped. This realization is not necessarily about placing blame or assigning fault. Rather, it's about understanding her own needs and how the relationship aligns with them. By recognizing the emotional impact of your absence, she gains valuable insight into the role you played in her life and the kind of connection she wants moving forward. This period of reflection helps her make informed decisions about whether to pursue the relationship further or to let it go. She could interpret your silence as disinterest, which might lead her to distance herself emotionally to protect her feelings. Silence can be a powerful communicator, and in the absence of explicit explanations, she might draw her own conclusions about what it means. If she perceives your lack of communication as a sign that you are no longer interested, she might decide to take a step back and focus on herself, rather than investing in a relationship that feels one-sided. This interpretation is often influenced by past experiences and personal insecurities, which can amplify feelings of rejection or disappointment. However, her decision to distance herself is ultimately an act of self-preservation, as she prioritizes her emotional health and avoids further vulnerability in a situation that feels uncertain or unbalanced. This response underscores the importance of clear communication in relationships and the potential consequences of leaving things unresolved. She might seek emotional support from friends or family during this time. Relationships are a deeply personal experience, but they're also something that people often turn to their support networks for guidance on. In the face of your silence, she might confide in those she trusts, seeking their perspectives and advice. These conversations can be a source of comfort and validation for her, as they provide an opportunity to process her feelings and gain clarity on the situation. Her friends or family might offer insights that help her see the relationship from a different angle, or they might simply provide a listening ear as she navigates her emotions. This reliance on her support network highlights the importance of having strong connections outside of romantic relationships, as they serve as a foundation of strength and resilience during challenging times. By leaning on her loved ones, she gains the emotional reinforcement she needs to move forward with confidence and clarity. She will assess the balance of effort in the relationship, examining whether the dynamic has been equitable or skewed. This assessment is a natural response to the silence, as it prompts her to think about who has been putting in more effort, and whether that imbalance has contributed to the current situation. She might reflect on past interactions, considering how often she initiated contact, how much energy she invested in maintaining the connection, and whether those efforts were reciprocated. This process of evaluation can be eye-opening, as it reveals patterns and dynamics that might not have been apparent before. If she concludes that the relationship has been one-sided, she might feel justified in stepping back and redirecting her energy toward more balanced and fulfilling connections. On the other hand, if she perceives the effort to have been mutual, she might be more inclined to address the silence and work toward resolving any underlying issues. This assessment is a crucial step in her journey toward greater self-awareness and empowerment. She might develop greater independence and confidence when given the freedom to explore her own potential without relying heavily on external validation. The journey toward independence is often deeply transformative, as it involves shedding old dependencies and embracing a sense of personal autonomy. The experience can encourage her to take ownership of her choices and actions, which in turn nurtures her confidence. As she steps outside of her comfort zone and discovers new aspects of herself, her self-assurance naturally grows. This newfound confidence may not only come from achieving personal goals, but also from the realization that she is capable of standing on her own without needing constant reassurance from others. In these moments, she may learn to trust herself more deeply, and with time, this trust builds an unwavering belief in her abilities, fostering a sense of personal strength that she may not have realized was within her all along. She may lose interest if she feels undervalued, as feeling truly appreciated is a fundamental need in any relationship. When someone constantly gives without receiving recognition or respect, it's natural for their enthusiasm to wane. If she senses that her efforts and contributions go unnoticed or unappreciated, it could breed feelings of frustration, resentment, or even neglect. These emotions may start to chip away at her initial passion and engagement, causing her to gradually pull back and lose the desire to invest in the relationship. As time passes, the lack of recognition may erode the emotional connection that once existed, leaving her questioning the value of her commitment. It is essential for her to feel seen and valued, not just for what she offers, but for who she is as an individual. Without this sense of acknowledgement, the bond may become increasingly one-sided, leading her to reconsider her place in the relationship and whether her emotional needs are being met. She could question her own investment in the relationship, especially when her efforts are not reciprocated in ways that resonate with her needs or desires. Over time, if her emotional and mental energy is being expended without the same level of engagement or reciprocation from the other person, doubts may begin to creep in. She may wonder if her time, emotions, and resources are being spent wisely, and whether the relationship is truly fulfilling. This introspection can lead to a deeper reevaluation of what she truly wants, not just from the relationship, but in all aspects of her life. Is the relationship contributing positively to her growth, or is it holding her back? Her internal dialogue might shift from a place of hopeful investment to one of caution, weighing the benefits of her emotional involvement against the potential costs of continued investment. She could start asking whether she deserves more, both in terms of effort and emotional return, and whether her current role in the relationship aligns with her aspirations and values. She might feel empowered to prioritize self-respect when she recognizes that her well-being should come before anything else, including the desires or expectations of others. The decision to prioritize self-respect isn't always easy, as it often involves making difficult choices that may challenge societal norms or the desires of those around her. But when she reaches the point where she values herself enough to set healthy boundaries, it can be liberating. Prioritizing self-respect can manifest in different ways, such as asserting her needs clearly, refusing to accept behavior that undermines her worth, or distancing herself from situations that no longer serve her. This empowerment comes from within, and it builds as she learns to value her own voice and perspective. When she chooses to honor herself, it not only strengthens her personal boundaries, but also sends a powerful message to others about how she expects to be treated. This shift in mindset can help her gain clarity on her true needs and desires, ensuring that she doesn't compromise on her values or self-worth in order to meet the expectations of others. She will decide if she wants to reconnect or move on based on a combination of reflection and self-awareness. This decision is deeply personal and requires her to assess both the potential for growth in the relationship and the impact it has had on her emotional and mental health. If she feels that the relationship has reached a point where both parties can grow and evolve, she might choose to reconnect, armed with newfound clarity and boundaries. However, if the relationship has proven to be more draining than fulfilling, and if the patterns of behavior that caused her concern remain unresolved, she may decide that moving on is the healthiest choice. Her decision will not be made lightly, as it will involve a deep understanding of her emotional needs, desires, and long-term goals. It will also be shaped by her past experiences in the relationship and the lessons she has learned about herself and the dynamics at play. Ultimately, the choice to either reconnect or move on is about aligning with her true values and vision for her future, ensuring that she makes the best decision for her own well-being. She may appreciate the space to reevaluate her needs, as stepping back from a situation can provide the necessary distance to gain a fresh perspective. When immersed in a relationship or a situation for too long, it can be challenging to see things clearly. The constant emotional engagement can cloud her judgment and make it difficult to objectively assess her own feelings and needs. Taking a step back allows her to separate herself from the intensity of the moment and view things through a more balanced lens. In this space, she can reflect on what truly matters to her, what her priorities are, and whether her current circumstances align with her goals. This pause can be an opportunity for her to reorient her focus, whether that means redefining what she wants from her relationships or making necessary adjustments to her personal life. The clarity gained during this time of reevaluation can be incredibly valuable, as it can guide her toward making informed and intentional decisions about how to move forward. She could interpret your actions as a challenge or test, especially if there is a shift in the way you're interacting or responding to her. When someone perceives changes in behavior, whether subtle or overt, it's natural to wonder if it's an intentional attempt to gauge her response or push her boundaries. She may begin to question whether the actions you're taking are meant to test her resilience, loyalty, or commitment. This could trigger a range of emotions, from confusion and frustration to determination and self-reflection. She might start to think that she's being pushed to prove herself in some way, which could lead her to assess whether this test is something she wants to engage with, or if it reflects deeper issues within the dynamic. Whether she chooses to confront the challenge head-on or withdraw in response will depend on her interpretation of the situation and her assessment of the underlying motives. This dynamic may ultimately lead her to question the authenticity and intentions of the relationship. She might choose to focus on hobbies or career aspirations as a way to reclaim her sense of self and channel her energy into something personally fulfilling. This decision often arises when someone feels unfulfilled in a relationship or uncertain about their role in it. Engaging in activities that bring joy, satisfaction, and a sense of accomplishment can be a powerful way for her to reconnect with herself and rediscover her passions. Pursuing hobbies or advancing in her career can provide a sense of direction and purpose, giving her the confidence and clarity to make decisions that align with her true desires. Whether it's taking up a new creative project, diving deeper into an existing interest, or advancing professionally, these pursuits can offer both a sense of accomplishment and an opportunity for personal growth. By dedicating time to her own development, she may find herself reinvigorated with a clearer perspective on her relationships and the role they play in her life. She may reevaluate the dynamic of communication, especially if she feels misunderstood, unheard, or disconnected in the way interactions are unfolding. Communication is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and when it's lacking, strained, or one-sided, it can create feelings of isolation and frustration. She might begin to reflect on how information is being exchanged, whether her feelings and needs are being expressed openly and effectively, and whether there's room for improvement. This reevaluation could lead her to set new communication standards for herself and for the relationship, ensuring that both parties are able to express themselves clearly and with respect. It may also prompt her to seek more meaningful conversations, to encourage vulnerability, or to explore ways to communicate that better support mutual understanding and connection. The shift in communication dynamics might reveal deeper issues that need addressing or lead to a more harmonious way of interacting. She will ultimately act in alignment with her values and self-worth, recognizing that her decisions, actions, and boundaries should reflect her authentic self. This is a culmination of her personal growth and introspection, where she acknowledges that her emotional health and integrity must come first. When she chooses to align with her values, she is making a declaration of self-respect and self-love. Whether it's in her relationships, career, or daily life, she will take actions that honor who she truly is and what she stands for. These choices may not always be easy, and they may require difficult decisions, but they will be made with a deep sense of conviction and a commitment to her own well-being. By living in alignment with her values, she ensures that her actions are authentic and true to her sense of self, creating a life that reflects her highest aspirations and self-worth. In conclusion, the absence of calls and texts creates a powerful space for introspection, growth, and reevaluation. For a woman, this silence is not merely a void, but an opportunity to reassess her priorities, rediscover her independence, and reaffirm her self-worth. It becomes a moment of transformation, where she gains clarity on her values, boundaries, and the kind of connections she wants to nurture in her life. Whether she chooses to reconnect, move on, or focus on personal aspirations, her decisions stem from a place of empowerment and authenticity. This journey underscores the resilience and strength that come from self-awareness and the commitment to living in alignment with her truest self. Silence, then, becomes not an end, but a catalyst for a more intentional and fulfilling life.